Hey, good morning. This is Craig Woods. We're going to get started in about 40 seconds to give people a little bit more time to log in. Actually, while we're waiting, I'd like to run a quick poll, and then I'll talk a little bit about what's going to be going on today. So let me get this started. Thanks for attending. So I'm here with Randy Ide, and we're going to be doing the first half of today's session around Office 365 from Intermedia. Also on the line for the second part of the session today are Joe Herday and Andrew Boone. And so yes, if you are interested in if you're coming for the contact center training, that'll be happening as soon as we're done with the Office 365 session. So so you might be coming for Office 365, but stay for Contact Center, or if you're here for Contact Center, hopefully we can provide you some good information about Office 365 as well. But I think we have a good program set up for you today. Actually, what we're going to be doing is, for the first half, which should run 30 to 45 minutes, depending on Q&A, we'll be going through what's new with Office 365. Mandy and I will be presenting that. And then we'll segue into the contact center prospecting and training session with Joe and Andrew. Okay, so thanks for those responses. Let me close the poll. And so I think it's good news. So most of the people here are already familiar with reselling. Thank you for the comment on the mic. Most of the people here are already familiar with reselling Office 365. So for today's session, I think we'll probably end up with some interesting Q&A. To help us do the best job of responding, if you could please enter questions under the Q&A function that's at the top of your screen. That'll help us keep track. What we're doing for this webinar, as we do for all of our webinars for partners, is we'll be trying to follow up with all of you with questions that come up. So if you enter them in the Q&A, then that will help us track them. If we can answer a question during the session, we will try to do that, but we're trying to also leave some ample time at the end. I think we'll probably go 20, 30 minutes on our content and then follow that with whatever time we need for the Q&A. I think we'll try to cut it off at 45 if you're here for Contact Center to get that started in a timely fashion. So that's how the session is going to be structured today. And everybody will be receiving a recording of the session, of today's session, and of course we'll be doing follow-up with you and also talking to your partner account manager. We actually have a number of partner account managers logged in today to try to see what kinds of questions you're going to have for them. Okay, so we're here to talk about Office 365. And what Randy and I would like to do is touch on really three aspects of this. The first is with respect to what we're doing for anti-churn. And so we've started that. You may have seen some emails already, so I'll talk about what we're doing. We want to try to help you with client opportunities where you perceive a churn risk. The single largest factor, and what I'm talking about is moving from Exchange. The single largest factor or reason why people move from Exchange today is to go to Office 365. So we're building that into our Office 365 activities, and we want to try to help streamline that. So I'll talk a bunch more about that. That's the first component. Second is I'm going to talk about what were Office apps, and now we're reframing that as Office 365 Business. And when I say reframing, it's actually a bit simpler than that. But I want to talk about why that's important, how it can help you retain customers, and of course what is in that packaging and who it relates to. The third component is going to be some tweaks that we're making to our Office 365 plans, including some standalone versions of Office 365 plans in certain models, in the advisor-only model, and then some related pricing tweaks that we're making to Office 365. And then we want to try to help you diagnose the right Office 365 plan, and then how to present that to prospects. I think that as Randy and I have been going through the Office 365 material for a variety of reasons, a lot of it having to do with the complexity that Microsoft has provided around how Office 365 is presented You know, we could spend a lot of time talking about different Office 365 plans. This is going to be a process. We want to get it started today, and we think that this has some real short-term advantages, and in the long term, this can become an important part of new business and then helping customers sort through their best plans for them to be looking at as they move forward. Okay, so first, anti-churn. So, you know, as I mentioned, single largest factor, single largest reason why customers tell us and partners tell us that they're moving clients away from hosted exchanges to Office 365. What we want to do is facilitate that in as efficient a way as possible. So we spend time with the partner account management team. We actually have a save desk, which is backing them up. And so we're trying to streamline this process to help you with situations where it appears clear. First, where it appears clear that this is a move to Office 365. We want to make that as straightforward as possible and help you retain the client by providing the best options for them in terms of pricing and, of course, onboarding. And so we're doing that through a streamlined save desk for Office 365 that the partner account manager has access to, and they may put you directly in contact with them, with that team. They can also help with the discussion about what the right options are. So if you understand this to be a migration, then obviously we want to try to expedite that process and help save the opportunity. If you're not sure, then the Save Desk can also help explore opportunities, and the partner account manager will be the first line of contact for you with them. But we want to try to do as much as possible to help retain these opportunities, help you retain those clients as customers, you know, and provide them with the best set of choices. We've done this initially by contacting you. And you know, we're not going to be contacting clients directly, but we expect this to be an ongoing process. So we want to ping you during the year so that if you run into situations, you know, that maybe weren't top of mind now, but become more of an issue in Q2, then, you know, you're aware of this process. So you may see emails around Office 365 during the year, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring this to your attention. Hey, make sure that you contact us. You know, we'd like to make sure that you're taking advantage of the best options for retaining HEX customers and presenting Office 365. Okay, second topic, very interesting, I think. You know, we introduced Intermedia Office apps a couple of years ago, and the idea was to make it part of the hosted exchange add-on family. And what we've realized over time was there were some really interesting things that were happening there. When we analyze what causes or what correlates to customers that are tending to stay with us, Office apps has had the highest retention rate for any Exchange customers that are using add-ons. You know, significantly better than other add-ons. You know, we like archiving, we like encryption. You know, we promote lots of things as options for Exchange, but Office apps appears to have had the single largest impact on retaining customers. And we believe that that's because it addresses a very important need for clients. And we also believe that this is related to Office 3, their view of what they need for Office 365. So what we've done is, you know, we had taken Intermedia Office apps we had taken Microsoft Office 365 Business, and we had renamed that to Intermedia Office apps. We think we can help you do a much better job of presenting Office 365 options by using its actual name from Microsoft, which is Office 365 Business. Now, Office 365 Business is what we've been reselling as Office apps all along. I think we had also created a bit of confusion about what was in it, and specifically whether OneDrive was included with that as one of the services. It always was part of Office apps, but we're trying to make that even less confusing now as part of Office 365 Business. So Office 365 Business provides most of the most common productivity apps, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. It also includes OneDrive. So we want to try to make that as clear as possible. And as you're thinking about, well, what are in the Office 365 plans that Intermedia is presenting, as as a general rule, you know, we're going to try to keep these descriptions up to date, but anything that you see on the Microsoft site as available in a plan which we are reselling, whether it's Office 365 Business or other versions of Office 365 that I'm going to talk about in a minute, they're exactly the same. It's all of the same bills of material, all the same services. So it's really the same thing, just provided by us, you know, through our provisioning portals to provision for your clients. And so as they change, as Microsoft changes, you know, if they add new services into Office 365 Business or other Office 365 plans, then those are going to be part of what's available. You know, it's a pretty clean transfer through, but Office 365 is pretty dynamic, and so we'll try to keep this up to date. But if a partner asks you, hey, I'm looking at this Office 365 plan from Intermedia, is this but I'm also looking at the Microsoft website, and I see that they include Sway or some other service. Is that also part of the Office 365 that you're reselling? The answer is absolutely. You know, we're selling standard Microsoft Office 365 plans. Everything that Microsoft is providing as part of those plans, you know, is what we're passing along to customers. So I don't want to underestimate the importance of Office 365 Business for Exchange, because I think that what this does is it creates an opportunity to talk about Office 365, where you're providing Office 365 applications and the email of choice for the customer, and you can talk about other Office 365 options. So first of all, for existing clients, making sure that they're using, if it's appropriate, making sure that they're using Office 365 Business gives them an easy answer to whether they're on Office 365. You know, the answer can be absolutely, and we're using Office 365 Business. You know, we're also getting email support from Intermedia, but we're on an Office 365 plan today. And then as you're talking to new clients who are interested in Office 365, you can present, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, Office 365 Business as one of the options that they should consider, and it all depends on what applications and services they need. Okay, so let me keep going. So let me ask a polling question around this based on how I've described Office 365 Business. And you know, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from customers, from partners about this. You know, that they see this as a very interesting option. We would very much be interested in your perspective. We think that this is an important part of the discussion. Now, I'm going to talk about we're going to talk about a variety of Office 365 plans in a minute, and so we'll try to answer some of the questions that are coming up about what's available. But this is specifically about Office 365 Business. Okay, so let me close this poll. Appreciate your answers. And what we saw was that the majority, it was like a 60-40 split on the use of Office 365 Business to help close hex accounts or to be used with hex accounts. Okay, so here's what the current lineup, and this is a simplification in a couple of respects. First of all, you know, it's impossible to break out all of the features and services. Not impossible, but it would be very time consuming to show all of them. Also, there are some additional plans that I'll allude to that I'm not showing here, but these are the most common ones that customers and that partners are interested in. And so these are the ones that we're going to lead with. We have some other variations to address things like Visio and Microsoft Project that are also available. You know, but generally those are subcomponents of some of these. So the most common plans are now Office 365 Business, which is the most common productivity apps. And what we're suggesting is that you complement that with Intermedia Hosted Exchange, or vice versa. If you have an Intermedia Hosted Exchange account, consider discussing Office 365 Business with them. Business Essentials, Business Premium, Exchange Online, you know, in certain cases may be interesting if all they want is email, and then Enterprise E1 and E3. And if you're familiar with Office 365 plans, then this will probably be old news to you. But if you haven't, then there's a lot of complexity to these, and we're going to try to help you diagnose which plans are interesting for which situations. In the past, we're going to continue to offer add-ons, Secure Sync for secure file sharing and backup, email archiving for retention of all emails in a compliant archive or recovery of critical emails, and then email encryption, which is interesting for compliance for many customers. Those are available as add-ons for all of these services, for all of these plans. But what I'm going to talk about is how they're no longer required in certain, if you're reselling these under the advisor model. So these are all actually now live, but everything from Office 365 Business being renamed to these plans. So let me try to recap this and then bring in a little bit more detail around how we think it's going to be useful to diagnose what's needed, when you're talking to a client. So, I think that for new prospects in particular, the first set of questions is going to be around what services are you really looking for? What are the applications that you're using today, or that you absolutely want to provide to your users? And so the answer is going to determine, which are the best Office 365 alternatives. If what they need are the standard Word, Excel, PowerPoint plus OneDrive services, then those are available in any of these, including Office 365 Business. And so I think that's a great opportunity to introduce Office 365 with a high reliability email option from Intermedia, depending on your model, if it's PLR or Advisor. SharePoint is also available through all of these options today. I think the harder delineation is going to be Microsoft Teams. Teams is a bit like Office 365. Microsoft is spending a lot of time trying to drive demand and awareness around Teams, but how people are going to use it, what it is they need exactly, a bit like Office 365, is going to vary. So there are going to be situations where somebody absolutely knows and has used Teams, and that is what they're looking for. That is available through Office 365 plans, including Business Essentials, Business Premium, E1, and E3. That's not a part of the Office 365 Business option today. That's not available that way today. So that guides you to which of these plans are going to address Teams. Now, in other cases, of course, if what they're looking for is collaboration or simple collaboration capabilities, a bit like Office 365, diagnosing what they need may lead you to a different alternative. It could actually open the door for Unite. It could open the door for Skype for Business, which we continue to support, or other alternatives. But to be clear, from an Office 365 plan standpoint, Teams is available with Business Essentials, Premium, E1, and E3. And we've tried to show that in the matrix that I showed you on the previous slide, and you'll find that in other collateral that we're sharing. Another decision point is whether they need both desktop or online versions access to applications. And if they do need a desktop, if they do want a desktop application, okay, well, a couple of these plans, Essentials and E1, are online only. So obviously those are not alternatives. So Office 365 Business, Office 365 Business Premium, or E3 provide access to desktop versions of applications. Third component is how many users, and helpfully Microsoft has delineated pricing so that if you're over 300, then you're at a higher pricing tier, and that's only available to you through enterprise applications, Enterprise E1 for online only, or E3 if you need online or desktop. But we can also support that with Office 365 Business. We have, of course, Intermedia Email doesn't have that pricing tier, and Office 365 Business is available in a couple of flavors in Office 365 and the Business, and then Pro Plus for over 300 users. So we can help you decide the right set of plan options, based on these requirements. I think the second component is somebody's coming in is an opportunity to understand what kinds of support and what reliability are they looking for in their business class email. And obviously, this is an opportunity to diagnose the support and present Office 365 Business with Intermedia email if they really need, or you want to provide them with higher level of reliability, 5 nines versus 3 nines, or based on your support experience, you want to describe to them why providing email from Intermedia as a hosted email provider, complementing the rest of the Office 365 suite, is going to help you or help them provide a much higher level of service, right? So I think those are opportunities that we can help you take advantage of. And then of course, if they're in a vertical or they identify other requirements, then we can help with add-ons for email archiving or encryption to complement any of these packages. So I think we could probably spend about another 3 or 4 hours talking about Office 365. But we kind of want to get this started because these things are live now. The options are now. The pricing that I've gone through is now available to you in the partner portal. You see this pricing live. You see these provisioning options live, and all of the naming stuff that I've described around Office 365 is live as of right now. Okay. So, to reiterate the matrix about features and services, here's that breakout that shows where SharePoint is available, where Teams is available, online versus desktop, and of course OneDrive. And I think we're trying to move to this I think as a more unified way of talking to new prospects and helping you deal with new business from an Office 365 perspective. So, at a high level, we see the opportunity here to help you take better advantage of clients that are coming in looking for Office 365 by guiding them to the right alternative, the best alternative, based on your experience, based on margins, and then of course based on what the client needs and their actual requirements. So I think that our highest level differentiation is going to be around, obviously, support. Supporting you, supporting the client. They may or may not appreciate the migration and onboarding, but a lot of partners really appreciate our expertise in onboarding and migration, and see that as an advantage in continuing to work with Intermedia regardless of the solution, if they're moving from Exchange to Office 365, or if you're proposing Office 365 as a new service for them. So you're going to continue to see a lot of emphasis from us around Office 365 for J.D. Power certified support. We actually are the only provider today of Office 365 with J.D. Power support. That has a direct advantage if you're proposing this to the client through the advisor model. It has an advantage to you from a support standpoint if you're presenting this through the PLR model. Okay, so let me ask another polling question, if I may. And the question that I would like to get some feedback on is about your perception of the benefits and how you see these working. Okay. All right. And just for housekeeping, I think that I'm going through this pretty quickly, but I think we're pretty much on time. So I know that Joe and Andrew are chafing at the bit, but we want to try to get through questions as soon as we're done with this, and then we'll move over to the contact center. Okay, so we've got a very good response. I think that what we're seeing is actually let me share this with the attendees. We're seeing a validation of support. We hope that has that resonates strongly with you and is useful with clients. And single vendor, it's good. These are what we're hoping will help you present Office 365 to clients, either to help retain or to convert new business. Okay, so let me close this and we'll keep going. Okay, so let's move to the Q&A. Let me flip up to the questions that have come in so far and see what we can go through. Okay, so I'm here with Randy. If you have additional questions, please add them, but we'll try to go through these right now.
All right, let me help with a few of these, Craig. There's a question about availability of Skype for business with the new Office 365 Pro Plus, and Microsoft has certainly made that confusing. So what they in fact have done in the Office 365 Pro Plus, they have included the Teams desktop installation. However, they don't really include a plan with it. So like previously they had included the Skype for Business software that you can install on your desktop, but you still actually need something in the background, a plan, to work on it. So you can have the software, but you would need to either do a trial of Teams, and then after the trial, you'd need to switch to one of the other plans that includes Teams. Question here, will Office 365 Business include access to the Office 365 administration portal? So our Office 365 plans that include email and so forth, all of those do automatically include access to the Office 365 portal. In the case of Office 365 Business, formerly called Office Apps, you can request administration access through support if you need it, if there's something in particular that you need to do. That will come along with some cautions, because there's things we ask you not to do in that case, because there's a potential to break some of the integration between our portal, depending on what you do, but it can be made available to you. There's a question on the new pricing. Is it for new customers? We are targeting new pricing for new customers as a way to engage and get new customers, or if it's a HEX customer that is migrating to Office 365, then that pricing would apply. There's a question by Kim, and Kim, I know I ammed a little bit during the call. I may need to follow up with you afterwards on your question about VPN services and Visio, so just to understand that a little bit better, and my apologies that our chat got cut off, but we'll follow up afterwards. There's a question, are we going to be discussing Slack today? We are not going to be discussing Slack today. It is a good question. It's something we'll bring up for our Unite team, for our Elevate team for a future call, because that's where that one would fit. We also have some questions here in the chat. Scroll down a little bit if you would. Okay, there's a question about administrative access for Office 365 Business, which I think we already addressed. And SharePoint. So SharePoint certainly is included in the plans. That question may come in before Craig talked about SharePoint on one of the later slides. A number of the Office 365 plans do include SharePoint, and again, just to emphasize, whatever you see in the plan description for Microsoft for a given named plan, if we sell it, we pass it through exactly the way Microsoft's built it.
You know, when I was talking about this recently, I had also some questions about Skype, which is interesting because Microsoft no longer includes that in many of their plans. However, we continue to offer Skype as an add-on service.
Yeah, so thanks for that question. there's some confusion out there because Microsoft is doing end of life on Skype for Business Online, which is the Office 365 version of Skype, and it's been replaced by Teams. Intermedia has for a long time and continues to sell Skype for Business to be used in conjunction with our hosted Exchange business, because on the back end that is built on top of the on-premise version of Skype for Business. We will continue to offer that for many years to come. If somebody is on Office 365 and they're still on the Microsoft Office 365 Skype for Business Online, they will eventually want to migrate over to Teams.
Hey, and just to acknowledge, we did get a comment from somebody who's confused about all of these options, and we will be reaching out to you. I completely understand, because there's so many options here. If you haven't worked fairly extensively with Office 365, then this can be quite a bit to absorb. So again, this is going to be a long-term process to help you and to make sure that everything is updated. But we want to get it started today. So Randy and I would like to thank you for attending today. I really appreciate your questions and participation, and look forward to working with you on Office 365 and Hosted Exchange and all of our other services.